Hello. Perhaps some of you are wondering what I'm doing carrying around a stepladder. Well, let me assure you, I was hanging pictures and not people. But there may be some others of you who know that I have another interest besides movies, and that's an interest in fine arts.
That's the king of horror, Vincent Price, in a promotional video for the Sears Roebuck Company, which in 1962 contracted the celebrated actor to head up a new fine arts department that was named in his honor.
I have always felt that the fine arts should be brought to the great numbers of people around this country, and suddenly I was presented with the opportunity to do it. And I was given a carte blanche to go ahead and form a collection of fine art that Sears could back up with their great guarantees of quality or your money back. So I accepted the challenge.
The Sears Roebuck Vincent Price collection of fine art was not a challenge that Mr. Price took lightly. Each item in the collection, which featured works by masters such as Dali, Rembrandt, and Picasso, was personally procured by Mr. Price and contained a certificate of authenticity on the back. Each item in the collection was also personally framed by Vincent's second wife, Mary Grant, a noted Hollywood costume designer. By 1964, the collection was nearly ready to launch, and the ill-fated documentary series seemed to present the perfect opportunity for crossover publicity. But, like my father Didier used to say, the gods are nothing if not cruel. Hello, good listeners, and welcome to Deadliest Meal. I'm author, documentarian, and film historian Denise Didak. And you're listening to a new podcast about the most cursed TV show ever produced. A cooking program that was so blighted, bedeviled, and deadly that the studio behind the project tried to bury it forever. For the past 10 years, I've been documenting what happened to Vincent Price in the summer of 1964. And over the course of this podcast, the world will finally come to know the real story of the Prince of Terror in an effort to save this American cultural treasure from the dustbin of history. As noted in the pilot, this show about a show would not have been possible without the help of my father, which came as quite a shock to me since we were never very close. Ballet recitals, soccer games, graduations. Dad missed all of it in service of a higher power, namely XBS Studios. The truth is, we were like oil and water. One, the toady corporate lawyer, the other, a free-spirited artist. Regardless, I have to thank Didi for believing in me. Although if he'd believed in me a little sooner, I might have been able to salvage the video and score a Netflix deal. C'est la vie. In our second episode, Awful Tower, we jet off to France where the master of the macabre cooks crepes with world-famous Gallic entertainer Maurice Chevalier. Seduced by the charms of Paris, Vincent is caught completely off guard by the sudden death of his assistant Gaspard at the city's most iconic landmark. The audio, which we have remastered and edited for clarity, shows Mr. Price and the documentary crew clearly believed their production was cursed, and the legend of the haunted kitchen at the historic Hotel Lutetia adds fuel to the fear fire. The luxurious auberge, which is said to be inhabited by a variety of spirits and specters left over from the Nazi occupation during World War II, takes center stage today in our long-buried, never-before-released documentary series. In light of France's rich history, one has to wonder if the belief in the Lutetia's curse is a byproduct of supernatural activity or repressed horror from their inability to keep fascists from their best hotels. I'll let the listener decide.
Speeding. Rolling.
Marche Bastille. Take one. Action.
Good food is where you find it. Hello, I'm Vincent Price. You may know me from such films as House of Wax, Theater of Blood, and The Pit and the Pendulum. What you may not know is that I'm also a noted gourmand, chef, and author of several cookbooks, including A Treasury of Great Recipes, famous specialties of the world adapted for the American kitchen. Today, I mean to shake up your family's boring old taste buds with a recipe adapted from the second port of call on our culinary odyssey, the land of the Gaul. One reason that France rates so high as a tourist attraction is probably because she feeds us so well. Lieu, s'il vous plaît, Gaspard.
Ah, oui, tout de suite.
Merci, Gaspard.
Ah, mais de rien.
Are you quite all right? Should I call a medic?
That won't be necessary. I believe I just swallowed a fly.
Still rolling.
The previous guy, please. Fritz. His name is Fritz, right?
His English is a little rusty. Halten de Kalten, Fritz.
Ja.
3, 2. One reason that France rates so high as a tourist attraction is probably because she feeds us so well.
And now we're walking and talking.
Everyone knows Parisians love to eat, but they also love to cook. This is where they do their shopping. The locals call the Marché Bastille the stomach of Paris, and its reputation is not unearned. You can literally get anything here. Oysters from Dieppe, sardines from Laurent, beef from Chalaret, pork from Piguet, and veal from Normandy. All are available fresh and at wholesale prices at the largest of Paris's outdoor markets. Excusez-moi, madame. The ground beneath us may have been littered with vegetable leaves and flower petals, but it is seeped with the history and the very blood of France herself. The nondescript square I'm standing in this morning is none other than the infamous Le Place de la Bastille. Ideally, we'd be here on Le 4 Juillet, the national holiday of France, but today shall have to suffice.
Get a little closer on Vincent's feet for editing here, Glenn. A little tighter, tighter, hold, and cut. Fabulous.
Is it okay if I grab a basket and pick up some fresh fruit for our demo tomorrow with Monsieur Chevalier? I'll only be a minute.
Be quick about it. You still have to film at the Arc de Triomphe, and I've got to get back to the hotel to finalize the set.
Can Gaspard accompany you?
Gaspar?
My assistant. I'd like to get my suitcases unpacked and a suit pressed for tonight. I'm meeting with some artists to recruit works for the Sears collection.
I suppose I can give him a lift?
Merci, Monsieur Carl.
Speeding.
Rolling.
Hotel Letitia, take 1, and action.
I must say, Carl, you've outdone yourself with the set decor. Everything looks marvelous. Is that Van Gogh's Road to Tarascon?
Yes.
Obviously a reproduction, but done by a master. The original was said to have been destroyed in the firebombing of Dresden, I believe.
We're rolling, Vincent.
Very well. The Paris we know today was the vision of Baron Haussmann. In the mid-19th century, the prefect of the Seine implemented a series of urban renewal projects to clear out the slums in the city center. But Paris was world famous long before Baron Haussmann was born or the Eiffel Tower was even conceived by a frustrated city engineer in the late 1800s. Today, around 7 million people a year visit the Iron Lady, but the city's most iconic landmark is a comparatively new resident of this beautiful metropolis. I say comparatively because Paris has ancient roots that extend back to Roman times, when this little town went by another moniker, Lutetia. The Hotel Lutetia is fittingly where we are ensconced today to create a customized French culinary experience for the American kitchen with the help of a very special guest. A guest that in the minds of most Americans personifies and embodies this nation of fashion, art, and food more than any other. Monsieur Maurice Chevalier.
Bonjour and enchanté, mesdames et messieurs. I have long enjoyed your performances on radio and screen, Monsieur Price, but must admit that today you are giving your greatest performance.
I will take that as a compliment. Now, Monsieur Chevalier, can you please tell our American television audience at home a little about the rich history of the settings that we cook in today?
The Lutetia was built in 1910, merely a year before the start of the Great War. Before it entertained guests like Pablo Picasso, Charles de Gaulle, and Peggy Guggenheim, the hotel served as a hospital for the Red Cross.
But in the next world conflict, this locale would serve a more sinister purpose.
During World War II, this was the infamous home of the German High Command that oversaw the occupation of Paris. The head of the Luftwaffe, Hermann Göring, personally looted more than 1,300 artwork from the Jeu de Pommes. Luckily, the trafficking of this stolen art was covertly documented by a museum curator, whose assiduous notes helped the monuments men return more than 60,000 stolen works to France.
That is only a fraction of what was originally stolen, no?
In spite of their heroic efforts, a great deal of stolen art remains at large. They are said to fetch high prices on the black market.
I don't understand buying a piece of art you can't display.
A collector's business is their own.
Of course, there was also a rumor going around that many of the great works of the Louvre were hidden in these walls, along with the Margot and Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
That is a fascinating 180, Maurice. But there's another tale to be told here, is there not?
That of the mad chef who cursed the kitchen after a bad review? Paris is full of such characters. But this one died this very night, 50 years prior, and his ghost is reported to haunt the kitchen and dining room, where he takes swift revenge on any who dare to criticize the food or malign his technique.
We may very well see him today. And as we are here on February 2nd, why don't you tell us of another French tradition?
La Chandeleur. On this day, the French celebrate the first time the baby Jesus was taken to the temple. To celebrate, we make crepes, which we will do today in this haunted kitchen, in the hopes that the preparation of a good meal will soften the ghost chef's spirit and make him less inclined to curse us.
It also happens to be on American Groundhog Day, where we learn how much longer the winter will last by watching an adorable rodent come out of its hole to see its shadow.
You do not even eat the groundhog?
I hear they are terribly gamey.
Then we will have the crepe instead.
Indeed. To make crepes, the first thing you need is a very hot crepe pan.
Hold, y'all. I'm picking up what sounds like some kind of drilling.
The staff mentioned the possibility of a contractor working in this area. I'll take care of it.
They knew we were filming today, Carl. This is totally unprofessional.
Halted in Glengenfritz.
Ja.
My apologies, Maurice.
Ne t'en fais pas. The curse was here long before your arrival, and it will remain long after your departure.
Let's see if the skillet's ready. Oh, it's plenty warm now. Just like with pancakes, you want to make sure your skillet's warm before pouring the batter.
The batter can be made while the pan heats and the butter is melted in the pan. The batter is flour, milk, egg, more butter, sucre et vanille.
Now, one thing I do want to stress is that you don't want to make your crepes too thick. They're not supposed to be flapjacks. They should be thin and airy, like the French. Look how Maurice is pouring the batter delicately. His technique is expert.
As you pour the batter, be careful to distribute it thinly around the pan. That is how you will achieve a lighter than air sweetness and a spongy but crispy texture that is la crêpe parfaite.
Then the fun really begins, because now we get to add any and all things sweet or savory to the crepe. Cheese, fruit, vegetables, meats. There are as many variations as there are French housewives.
This is very true, Vincent. But today, we will finish with a squeeze of the lemon and a dust of the sucre powder.
Sometimes simple is best.
And you sit down and eat and cut. Vincent, Maurice, we are cut. You can stop eating.
What's the use of having a cooking show if you don't enjoy the results? I've always found that eating together is the best way to get to know someone. Do you not agree, Monsieur Chevalier?
Please call me Maurice, Vincent. I do and hope to be able to know you better.
I feel like I already know you, Maurice, through all your films and albums.
That is one aspect of my life, but wherever there is light, you will also find a shadow. I feel this even more since the restoration of freedom to my beloved country, though I still feel the daggers of hate from those who question and resent my means of survival in Vichy during the Nazi occupation.
The resistance called for your blood after your performances for the German forces were broadcast on the radio, and your wife's Jewish faith and falsified papers left you vulnerable to the Nazis. It was an impossible situation.
I do not need to hide behind Yvonne. I made my choice, and I will eat what is served because of it.
It sounds like you're carrying a heavy load from the past, Maurice.
I can recognize the past while not being enslaved to it.
There were some who accused you of being a spy, some kind of double agent.
That's when I started dating Fréhel. She was one of the biggest stars in France. We spent time in wild circles. One of them included even Mata Hari.
As in Mata Hari, the circus horseback rider turned exotic dancer who was later identified as a German spy and executed by firing squad in this very city?
The one and only.
The French knew she wasn't important, and yet they killed her anyway. De Gaulle ordered the execution as a courtesy to the prominent industrialist Emile Etienne, who kept Miss Hari as a courtesan and blamed her for his syphilis.
Your gift for history may surpass mine, Mr. Robinson.
If the history happens to be about his mother,
Excuse me, Gaspard, can you repeat that?
our esteemed producer is none other than the son of the infamous Mata Hari.
You didn't tell me you had famous relations, Mr. Robinson.
Your assistant is misinformed. My mother was a respected farmer's wife and died peacefully in her sleep.
Poor Carl. Is that why you have a disdain for history? Are you trying to escape your own past by denying its existence? This is a slippery slope, mon producer.
I've no disdain for the past. I merely look towards the future. Are you still recording, Eddie?
Yep, we're speeding.
I said cut. And that means you can put down the cue cards, Fritz.
Jawohl, mein Herr.
I must ask, Gaspard, what you said about Carl's mother. Was it said in jest or is it true?
I overheard Monsieur Rotmanson at dinner. He cannot handle his cognac.
An idle boast, no doubt. The Dutch are famous blowhards. Now, can you tell me any more of the paintings in the basement, Gaspard?
I did not see much before he noticed me, but there were many.
Interesting. What do you think led our producer down there?
It looked like he knew where he was going. Oh, and here he is coming.
What of you? Gaspard, why don't you get some photos for the press kit from the upper deck?
Comme vous voulez, Monsieur Carl. Je reviendrai, Monsieur Price, and we will speak more of this later.
Zomdel Himo, Fritz.
Ja, gern.
Where's Fritz going?
A personal errand. Glenn can hold your cue cards again.
And now I remember why I never work on documentaries.
Must we do the Eiffel Tower scene? It's well covered already.
On second thought, maybe you're right, Vincent. The Eiffel Tower is perhaps too played out.
If we need to do the scene, I'll do it.
No, you take the rest of the day off. I know you're dying to see the Louvre.
Good Lord, was that Gaspard plummeting through the sky?
That's a wrap.
The beauty of Paris does my soul good, and we can all use some goodness in our souls after our ordeal. I'm not referring to Monsieur Chevalier. My assistant Gaspard fell from the Eiffel Tower. His death, an apparent suicide, is nothing less than an unmitigated tragedy for his family foremostly, but also for the production. We tried to tell the gendarmes what happened, but I'm uncertain if any mortal authority could help us, as our danger may be otherworldly. The feeling first started when we checked into our hotel. The much-storied Hotel Lutetia was German intelligence headquarters during the occupation of Paris, but its history goes back much further and casts a long, dark shadow. I had my reservations about staying in that old auberge, but Carl was insistent on it, and I acquiesced. I saw him looking around the hotel, usual enough when it is such a thing of beauty, but then he went through the door to the basement, which is off limits to guests. Something in his demeanor made me want to follow him, but Gaspard, like the noble Parisian he was, would not let a man of my years and dignity venture down into the unknown, and so he went by himself. At the Eiffel Tower, Gaspard told me our esteemed producer was looking at some dusty old paintings, but before I could inquire further, we were called to set, and it was there that he met his tragic end. Here alone in my room in a haunted hotel, I wonder if the spirits resented Gaspard's intrusion into their domain and wreaked vengeance on him for his encroachment. If that is the case, I fear for our producer. Mr. Rothmanson also trespassed on their domain, and yet he lives to tell the tale. But why did Carl go down there in the first place? And why was there a reproduction of the famous lost work Road to Tarascon by Van Gogh on our set? It must have been a reproduction, although it was one done by a master.
Unfortunately, we were unable to recover the audio leading up to the final moments before Vincent's assistant Gaspard plunged over the side of the Tour d'Eiffel, so his tragic death remains shrouded in mystery. Was he haunted by the mad chef of Lutetia? Or was it something more mundane, like the troubles that plagued many of the youth in this tumultuous period in history? We can never truly know why this happened, but we do know what happened next. The continuation of a nightmarish series of unfortunate mishaps that took the heaviest of tolls. As for Monsieur Chevalier, I cannot help but wonder whether or not this incident may have played a role in the entertainer's final curtain, which came on the 1st of January 1972, when the most popular Frenchman in the world died from complications stemming from a suicide attempt. Maurice was a member of the Légion d'honneur, the Ordre Mérite National, and an Oscar winner. He had done and won it all, so his sudden end shocked the world. What could have driven such a man to the ultimate act of desperation? And Vincent? Is he beginning to believe what was whispered about this show so many times over the years? We know, as a species, that curses and witchcraft have been used as excuses for mysterious circumstances and behaviors, and we have plenty of both here. If we were in the same situation, with our lives on the line in a land far from home, would we believe anything different? What do you, the listener at home, think? Please, write to me with your comments and questions, care of your local public radio station. I'm Denise Didak. Thank you, and good night.
Deadliest Meal was created and written by Rory Owen Delaney and Matt Babb. Directed by Rory Owen Delaney and Matt Babb. Editing by Rory Owen Delaney.
Produced by Rory Owen Delaney and Matt Babb.
Sound design, sound mix, and music by Apostolos Papapostoiou. Bach Toccata and Fugue in D minor performed by Stephen Malinowski.
With performances by Wendy Weiner, Matt Babb, Mike Casantini, Aurelian Vercel, Greg Lohman, Craig Jablin, and Rory Owen Delaney.
This podcast is a production of Man Bites Dog Films, LLC.